Imagine a beautiful morning suddenly turned into a nightmare. The shocking fall of the Twin Towers on September 11th, 2001. The day started just like any other in New York City, but soon it would be seared into global memory as one of the most tragic events in modern history. The Twin Towers, a symbol of America's strength and prosperity, were reduced to rubble within a few horrific hours. As the towers crumbled, so did the illusion of invincibility that had once surrounded the United States. The nation was in shock, mourning the loss of thousands of innocent lives. The entire world watched in disbelief as the smoke billowed out from the wreckage. The skyline forever changed. But amidst the tragedy, the resilience and unity of the American people shone through. Strangers became heroes, risking their own lives to save others, displaying the true spirit of humanity. The devastation of that day was felt deeply across the United States, but it also reverberated around the globe. It was a stark reminder that no nation, regardless of its power, was immune to the threat of terrorism. The world waited to see how America would respond, and it didn't have to wait long. The United States vowed to bring the perpetrators to justice, a promise that would set in motion an unprecedented manhunt. The focus quickly turned to one man, Osama Bin Laden. He was identified as the mastermind behind these attacks, the leader of the extremist group known as Al-Qaeda. The mission was clear, yet daunting. The United States, with its vast resources and intelligence, was about to embark on the most intense and significant manhunt in its history. The attacks on the Twin Towers were a turning point, not only for the United States, but for the whole world. They brought about a new era of global vigilance against terrorism and marked the beginning of a relentless pursuit for justice. The mission was not just about retribution, but about restoring a sense of security and sending a clear message to those who threaten peace. In the midst of the chaos and the rubble, a mission was born to find the man responsible, Osama bin Laden. The world's most powerful nation was now on a relentless pursuit, a mission to capture the world's most wanted terrorist. It was a race against time. The stakes were high, and the world watched with bated breath. In the aftermath of the tragic events that unfolded on September 11th, 2001, the United States pulled together its resources with one singular focus: to find and capture Osama bin Laden. The U.S. government, under the leadership of President George W. Bush, mobilized its intelligence agencies and military forces. The Central Intelligence Agency, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Department of Defense were all pulled into this massive global manhunt. The first crucial step involved assembling a team of experts. Special operations teams were formed, comprising of elite personnel from the military, intelligence, and law enforcement communities. The Navy SEALs, the Army's Delta Force, and the CIA's Special Activities Division were all part of this formidable task force. This was no ordinary mission. It required the best minds and the bravest hearts. Finding bin Laden was akin to searching for a needle in a haystack. The challenges were numerous. Bin Laden was a master of evasion, adept at staying hidden. He moved frequently, leaving no trace behind. Additionally, the rugged terrain of Afghanistan, where he was believed to be hiding, posed a significant challenge. The harsh weather, the inaccessible areas, and the lack of reliable local intelligence made the task even more daunting. But the United States was undeterred. Its intelligence agencies worked round the clock, sifting through mountains of data, analyzing every piece of information that could potentially lead them to bin Laden. This was a game of patience, perseverance, and precision. The special operations teams trained relentlessly, preparing for every possible scenario. They knew that when the time came, they had to be ready to act swiftly and decisively. Every drill, every simulation was a step closer to their ultimate goal. Despite the obstacles, the United States was determined to track down the elusive bin Laden, whatever it took. The hunt was on, and it was a hunt like no other. The world watched, waited, and hoped, as the most powerful nation embarked on a mission to capture the world's most wanted terrorist. In a search that seemed almost impossible, suddenly, a glimmer of hope emerged. The breakthrough came in the form of a seemingly insignificant piece of information, a name that would lead the United States to Osama bin Laden's doorstep. The name was that of a trusted courier of bin Laden, known only by his nom de guerre, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti. This was not an immediate revelation, but the culmination of years of painstaking intelligence work. The name had been mentioned by detainees at Guantanamo Bay, but it was just one among many, a needle in a haystack of misinformation and half-truths. However, the intelligence agencies did not disregard this. They worked relentlessly, cross-referencing this name with other sources, following leads that often led to dead ends. But they persisted. They knew that in the world of intelligence, it was often the smallest pieces that completed the puzzle. And so it was. One day, al-Kuwaiti's voice was intercepted on a phone call. He was cautious, never uttering bin Laden's name, but the intelligence officers knew they were onto something. They traced the call to a compound in Abbottabad, Pakistan. It was heavily fortified, a fortress in the middle of a city, arousing suspicion. The compound was put under surveillance. There was no definitive proof that bin Laden was there, but the presence of the courier was a promising lead. The intelligence officers knew the significance of their discovery. They had found the thread that could lead them to the man they had been hunting for years. This was the breakthrough. A single name, a single lead, had brought them this far. The intelligence work had paid off. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place. The United States was now on the verge of locating the man they had been relentlessly pursuing for nearly a decade. With the target in sight, it was now time for action. Time for Operation Neptune Spear. In the high-stakes world of international espionage and military strategy, no operation had ever been as intensely scrutinized or meticulously planned as this one. Named after the trident in the U.S. Navy's Special Warfare insignia, Operation Neptune Spear was the culmination of years of relentless pursuit and unwavering resolve. The operation was orchestrated by the elite Navy SEAL Team 6, a group of warriors trained to operate in all environments and situations. Their mission, to capture or kill the world's most wanted man, Osama Bin Laden. The plan was painstakingly detailed, every potential variable considered, every contingency prepared for. The operation began under the cover of darkness on May 2, 2011. The SEALs were airlifted into Pakistan in stealth Black Hawk helicopters, designed to evade detection. Their target was a compound in Abbottabad, a city not far from the capital, Islamabad. As the helicopters touched down, the SEALs swiftly disembarked. Silent as shadows, they moved towards the compound. The tension was palpable, every moment critical. They breached the compound's walls, their movements precise, their actions decisive. Their training had prepared them for this, but nothing could truly replicate the reality of the situation. Inside the compound, they encountered resistance, but the SEALs pressed on. Room by room, they cleared the building, and then, in an upstairs bedroom, they found their target. Osama bin Laden was there, and in a matter of seconds, the man who had eluded capture for nearly a decade was no more. The SEALs quickly gathered intelligence from the compound before boarding their helicopters and leaving Pakistani airspace. The operation had lasted less than 40 minutes, but its consequences would reverberate around the globe. In the dead of the night, Operation Neptune Spear was executed, forever changing the course of history. The manhunt was over, but its legacy would endure. A testament to the tenacity and resolve of those who seek justice. After a decade-long manhunt, the world's most wanted terrorist was no more. The death of Osama bin Laden, the man behind the September 11th attacks, marked the end of an era. The news of his demise, announced by President Obama, echoed across the globe. From the bustling streets of New York to the quiet corners of the Middle East, reactions varied from relief and jubilation to skepticism and fear. In America, spontaneous celebrations broke out as the nation felt a sense of closure for the horrors of September 11th. Across the Atlantic, European nations expressed relief, but cautioned that the fight against terrorism was far from over. In the Middle East, reactions were more complex. Some rejoiced at the demise of a man they saw as a false prophet, while others mourned the death of a man they believed to be a martyr. Bin Laden's death was a significant blow to Al-Qaeda, the terrorist organization he led. The removal of its figurehead caused disarray and confusion within the group. Yet it didn't spell the end for global terrorism. Extremist factions continued to operate, morphing and evolving, proving that the war on terror wasn't a battle against one man, but an ideology. The operation to take down bin Laden also left an indelible mark on the world. It demonstrated the long reach of American intelligence and military capabilities. It underscored the nation's resolve to bring those who harm its citizens to justice, no matter how long it takes or how far they must go. Yet, it also sparked debates on sovereignty, intelligence sharing, and the use of military force. These discussions continue to shape international relations and national security policies around the world. The hunt for Osama bin Laden had ended, but its repercussions and the lessons learned continue to shape the world today. As we reflect on this pivotal moment in history, we are reminded of the complexities of global security and the ongoing challenge of maintaining peace in an ever-changing world.